All right, and welcome to another lesson in math quadratic functions. So this time we're going to be looking at the graph of y equals a times x minus m times x minus n. Now, same thing here as before. Notice that these are negatives, okay? Okay, so we have general form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Standard or vertex form, a times x minus h plus k, where your hk is your vertex. And now, today, we're going to look at factored form, okay? And this is the form that it's in. Okay, in this case, a cannot equal 0. If this equals 0, it's times 0 times 0, so everything's equal to 0, okay? It can be 1. If there's nothing in front, then it means it's 1. Okay, so let's look at this form right here, y equals x minus n times x minus n. Notice there's no number here, so what does that mean? A is equal to what? 1, okay? Using a graphing calculator, sketch these graphs. In this case, your m is 2, your n is 8. In this case, you have a positive here, which means your m is negative 2, and your n is 6. We have positive and positive, so we have negative 2 and negative 6. This one, there's nothing, so that's x. It's the same as x minus 0. That's equal to x. Excuse me. So that means that your m is 0 and your n is 4. In this case, positive 8 means that m is negative 8, and minus 10 means that n is 10. Okay, so go ahead, pause me, put this into your graphing calculator. Now, using your graphing calculator, find your x-intercepts. Now, if you don't know how to do this on your graphing calculator, come and chat with me, and I can show you using when y is equal to 0, okay? It's when your graph crosses the x-axis, okay? So you should find is here your x-intercepts are 2 and 8. Your y-intercept is 16. The axis of symmetry, remember where that's going down? X is equal to, right down through the middle, 5. Okay? If you cannot find all of these points using your graphing calculator, stop now. Actually, don't stop. Continue on with what I'm doing and just follow along, but make sure that you do this exercise in class with me so I can show you how to find all of these points on your graphing calculator, okay? So the next one, you're going to find negative 2 and 6 minus 12 and x equal to 2. Next one's going to be negative 2 and negative 6, 12, and x equal to minus 4. You're going to see 0 and 4, 0, and x equal to 2. Minus 8 and 10, minus 80, x equal to 1. Okay, do you notice anything about these numbers? Hopefully you see that your m and your n are the same as your x-intercepts. When you multiply those together, 8 times 2 gives me 16. Negative 2 times 6 gives me minus 12. Negative 2 times negative 6 gives me 12. 0 times 4 gives me 0. And negative 8 and 10 gives me 80. Something else you hopefully notice is that this axis of symmetry is right in between these 2 points. So on the graph, if it looks like this, say, this is 2, this is 8. The point right in the middle of that is 5. So the same thing with this, negative 2 and 6. The point right in between both of those is 2. Negative 2 and negative 6, right in between is negative 4. 0 and 4, right in between them is 2. Negative 8 and 10, the point is 1. Now, if you can't see that on the graph, if you don't see that with the numbers, come and chat with me so I can explain it more, okay? So let's write this out a little bit. M and N are x-intercepts. The y-intercept is m times n, and the axis of symmetry is right between m and n. So in this form, when you write y equals a x minus m, x minus m, you can get a lot from this form, okay? So this time, we're going to take all of this information, what we just wrote. We're going to see what happens when we have an a there, okay? So in this case, the a is what? 2. The m is 5. And the n is 2. Okay? Go ahead and put that into your calculator and see what you notice. So what I notice about this is the x-intercept is 2 and 5. The y-intercept is way up here somewhere. Is 20. And the graph opens up. Okay, so let's put that into our observations. X-intercepts are 5 and 2. Y-intercept is 20. Whoops, 20. And the graph opens up. Okay, put the next one into your calculator. A is equal to 4. M is equal to minus 3. And N is equal to 2. Okay, when I look at this on my thing here, my x-intercept is minus 24. Sorry, my y-intercept, my bad. My x-intercept is negative 3 and 2. And we are opening up. Okay, so minus 3 and 2 minus 24 and opening up. Okay, so the next one, A is 5, M is 10, and is negative 3. So I'm going to pause me, put that into your calculator and see what you find. Okay, I'm going to take that one off. Okay, x-intercepts, I have minus 3, 1, 2, 3, and 10. The y-intercept is negative 150. And the graph is opening up. It's a very narrow graph. Okay, so 10 and negative 3, negative 150, and opening up. Okay, so in this case, your A is negative 3. Remember this one from before. This is the same as x minusing 0. And your N is negative 2. Okay, pause me, put that into your calculator. Okay, so let's look here. My x-intercepts are 0 and minus 2. My y-intercept is also 0, right? That's where it's going through y. And it is opening down. Okay, 0 minus 2. Y-intercept was 0, and it's opening down. Okay, let's do the next one. A is negative 10. M is minus 1. N is 3. Ooh, let's have a look at this one. The y-intercept looks like to be 30, right there. X-intercepts are 3 and minus 1. And it is opening down. Negative 1 and 3. I think we said 30. And it's opening down. Okay, so let's look at this one. In this case, if it's just a negative, then it's the same as negative 1 because it's all being multiplied together. Okay, and this one is going to be 10, and this one's going to be minus 10. So we have negative 10 and 10 as our x-intercepts. Our y-intercept is 100. And it's opening down. All right. So x-intercepts, if I look here, they correspond directly with this, no matter what happens with the a. So the x-intercepts are m and n. Now, the only thing is here, the y-intercept does change. I want you to pause and try to think that through for a second. If I look at these three numbers, how does that make the 30? Or if I look at these three numbers, -3, 0, and -2, how does that make 0? The answer? Multiply them together. A, m, and n. A times m times n. So, just like before, if A is positive, then it opens up like this. And if it's negative, then it opens down like this. Okay? So now here is your full list of everything you need to know about this form. Okay? Without graphing, state the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the equation of the axis of symmetry, the direction of opening up or down. Okay? So let's think about this for a second. Our A is 1, M is -4, N is 10. So this is positive, or 1 is positive, so it's going to be opening up. Pardon me. The x-intercepts are going to be -4 and 10. The y-intercept is going to be A times n times n. So 1 times -4 times 10. Which I believe is -40. And the last thing we need is the axis of symmetry, which remember is going to be between these 2 points. So what's directly between -4 and +10? And how you can do that is I'll take -4, I'll add 10 to it, and then I'll just divide it by 2. Find the middle point. So -4 plus 10 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 12. Now, if you've done like me, then make sure it stays over on that side, okay? I need more space. All right. This one's negative, so my A is -2. My M is -6. My N is -9. So A is -2. It means it's going to open down. My x-intercepts are going to be M and N, so -6 and -9. My y-intercept is going to be A times M times N, so -2 times -6 times -9, which is -108. And the axis of symmetry, I'm just going to add those two together. -6 plus -9 divided by 2. So negative 15 divided by 2 is equal to negative 7.5. Okay. Next one. Negative, I'm going to put this in the same form so you can see it. So negative 1 times x minus 0 times x minus 20. Now, if you don't know how I got the 0 and the 1, make sure you come and chat with me sometime, okay? So your A, negative 1, m equal to 0, n is equal to 20. It's negative, so it's opening down. My x-intercepts, 0 and 20. My y-intercepts, negative 1 times 0 times negative 20 equals 0. Anything times 0, 0. And the axis of symmetry is 0 plus 20 divided by 2. So that means 20 divided by 2, which is 10. Okay. All right. Disguised A values. So put these into your graphing calculator. Okay. Pause me. Put it into your calculator. All right. So when I put these in, can't see that very well, but it's blinking between blue and green as I click this on and off. Okay. And when I'm clicking on and off is this over here. This negative, notice what happened to the x over here. And in this case, the x has to be positive in order for this to work. This inside of here has a negative 1 inside of it. So you have to take the negative 1 out, which will make this a positive. So it's the same thing as this. Okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I have y equals negative 2 times 3 minus x times x minus 7. For this, I want to make this I'm going to divide this by negative 1. Okay? Because I want to bring it out here. So negative 2 times negative 1 times this. If I divide by negative 1, this is going to be positive x. And if I divide this by negative 1, it's going to be minus 3, minus 7. Okay? And what you're going to see is, I'm going to change this. Minus 2 times minus 1 is 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 7, which is the same as the original one up here. Okay? So just be careful. If you have a negative x like this one, or this one up here, same, you need to get that out of there. Okay? You need to divide that negative 1 out. So let's look at this one. 1 minus x cannot stand like that. So I'm going to have divide negative 1 out of it. If you divide it out, it has to come outside of the bracket, okay? You can't just make it disappear. So negative 1 times, if I divide x by negative x by negative 1, I'm going to have positive x. And 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. And then I'll bring this down, okay? X minus 10. Now the negative 1's out here, which means that's an A. That's your A now. Okay, so let's look at this one. Which one's not in the right? This one's fine. Oh, is it? No, it's not. Neither is this one. So now I have negative 3. I want to divide negative 1 out of this and out of this. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 1. I'm going to bring this one out. And I'm also going to bring this one out. So multiply that by negative 1. I'm going to have x minus 4 times x minus 12. Now, if you don't know where I got this from, I've divided negative 1 out of the first and the second brackets. So it switched positive and negative for each of them. If that still doesn't make sense, come and chat with me in our next class, okay? So negative 3 times negative 1 times negative 1, negative 3, x minus 4, x minus 12. Okay? This didn't change the a at all because you multiplied it twice by negative 1. Okay? It's got to be in the right form. X has to be positive. All right, so let's look at this next one. We have 2, 1, 1, negative 2. So we can almost tell immediately which one's question number 4 it is. However, we know that there's 2 negatives. This one's going to be negative, graph B, and also graph C. So that should immediately tell you in your brain, something's not right. So this one's in the right form, x, x. X is positive here, x is negative here. Okay, so we're going to have to fix that. Positive, 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 positive. Okay, so let's fix this one first. So we have negative 1 out here, x minus 1. Oh, my bad, sorry. Back the truck up. I'm going to bring negative 1 out here. 1 plus x is the same as x plus 1. Same. You want to put it in that form or this form, it's okay, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to take the negative 1 out of this one, okay? So I'm dividing negative out of here. There's going to leave me with x minus 4, okay? I see this is an x, so it's going to be either B or C. And that means this one's also going to be B or C, which means this one, A is positive 1, so it's going to be either A or D. And example 1 is going to be A or D. Okay, next. Let's look at this. I know that my 2, this is M, this is N. My 2 x-intercepts are going to be 1 and negative 4. So let's look at A. A has negative 1 and plus 4, so that's not right. So now let's look at D. We have, oh, that's not quite right either. Oh, yes, it is. It's up here. 1 and negative 4. So this one is D. And that one we've used. So now let's look at this one. Negative 1, so we know it's B or C. I'm going to have M, M is negative 1 and 4. Okay, so let's look at B first. X-intercepts, negative 1 and 4. So it looks like that is B. We've used that one. Now by default, this one will have to be A, but let's check. We have M is negative 1 and N is 4. So let's see if A is negative 1 and 4. Yes, it is. And then C, we have M is 1 and N is negative 4. So let's look here at C is 1 and negative 4. So this is C. Okay, that's it. You can complete your assignment. Questions 1 through 8. When you're done that, come back. And I'm going to do this example next, and then you could do question 9. Okay? So pause me right now. Go ahead and do that. Okay. So I'm going to go on now to class example number 4. The graph represents a quadratic function. The equation is a times x minus n times x minus n. The x and the y-intercepts are shown. State the values of m and n. Right here, right? 3 and 6. Explain how to determine the value of a. Well, this is opening up, right? So we know it's going to be positive. And we have the y-intercept is equal to 36. 36 is equal to a times m, which is 3, times 6, which is n. So what I can do is 36, 6 times 3 is 18. So I'm going to divide both sides by 18. This crosses itself out, so I'm left with a on this side. So a is equal to 2. Okay. Write the equation of the graph. Y equals a is 2, x minus 3 times x minus 6. What are the coordinates of the vertex? Well, we can tell what the x value of that's going to be just from what we know. Your x value is going to be right in between those two things on the axis of symmetry, right? So between 3 and 6, 6 plus 3 divided by 2 equals 9 divided by 2, which equals to 4.5. So the x value of this is going to be 4.5. And then we need to find the y. If I know what x is, I can plug that in here and I can find the y. So I'm going to do 2 times 4.5 minus 3 times 4.5 minus 6. So that's 2 times 1.5 times negative 1.5.
They'll just do or die at this point? I think they get another game on it. Right. Yeah, there's 8 schools and then so Burnaby is Burnaby, us, and Mitchell. Okay. I don't know who they were playing today. I think it was Okay. They got a good strong team, eh? Yeah, they're really good.
And that is going to be negative 4.5. Okay. So the vertex will be 4.5 and negative 4.5. Write the equation of the graph in this form. So we know what that form is. It's our vertex. A is the same. You'll notice we use the same letter because it is the same. So y is equal to 2 times x minus 4.5 squared minus 4.5. Done and done. Determine the coordinates of the vertex of the graph quadratic function that passes through negative 8 and 0, 2 and 0, and 0 and 48. So what are these? When they are equal to 0, what does that tell us? If you said our x-intercepts, you are absolutely right. So y is equal to a times x plus 8 and x minus 2. So now we just need to find a. We can use this when x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 48. So 48 is equal to a times x, remember, is equal to 0. So 0 plus 8 and 0 minus 2. So a times 8 times minus 2. So that's equal to negative 16. I'm just going to divide. Oopsie daisies. Divide by negative 16. Divide by negative 16. The only thing that's left on this side is the a. A is equal to 3. So we have y is equal to 3 times x plus 8 times x minus 2. Oh, I forgot the negative here. Sorry about that. That should be a negative. Let me just erase that out. That is equal to negative 3. There we go. Now, from here, we need to find the vertex. Okay. So the axis of symmetry is going to be negative 8 plus 2 divided by 2. So it's negative 6 divided by 2, so it's negative 3. So our vertex is going to have a negative 3 there. We just need to find what the y is. Well, I'm going to just plug that right into here. I'm going to plug that right into here and find out what the y is. So y is equal to negative 3 times negative 3 plus 8 times negative 3 minus 3. Ooh, minus 2, not 3. Okay, so this is negative 5 times 5 times negative 3 is equal to y. So this is a negative and a negative. So I think this is going to be 75. 25 times 3 is 75. So this is going to be negative 3 and 75. That's the vertex. If this does not make sense to you, come and chat with me. All right, now you can finish question number 9.